So in this video, we're going to talk about the home buying timeline and just go over, a few steps, a step-by-step guide to kind of let you know what you need to do from the point of, talking to a lender when you realize that, you want to purchase a home, all the way to the point to where you get your keys. The first step is going to be, getting your pre-approval. So speaking with a lender, establishing that relationship early on. I think before you actually get to the point to where you're physically looking at houses, this is something that you should do, a few months ahead of time. I always recommend my clients to establish a relationship, if you can, 6 months or further out with a lender, if you really are serious about, creating a plan for yourself and moving into a new home. I think you should definitely do that. But, typically before you actually physically look at homes, start that process maybe 2 or 3 months before that point. You want to make sure that you get qualified, and that way the lender can let you know what you are able to afford with them and what they're willing to lend to you. Make sure that you have all of your information, like tax records, pay stubs, bank statements. This is stuff that they will need in order to give you a pre-approval. So it's important that you do have that. They're going to check your credit at some point. They want to make sure that you are worthy of receiving a loan. So, all of this is all a part of the process. This is just the first step. Now, step two is when you're actually out there taking a look at these homes. So, house hunting can take time. I tell people to take their time. Sometimes I've had clients where, it only took us 2 or 3 houses to figure out what they want. And then I have some clients that might take them, more than that. They might need to see a few more, or, just circumstances change and their taste might change. This is perfectly normal. You want to make sure that, you try to define the criteria of what it is that you really want before you actually get to looking at homes. If you want a house that has to have a bare minimum of 2,000 square foot and you want a pool, it doesn't make sense for you to look at, homes that are anything smaller than that, unless, your tastes have changed, or, if you're looking to buy a house with a pool, you don't want to look at houses that don't have pools. That's just simple as that. But yeah, make sure you establish the criteria that you're looking for. Make sure you have all your wants and needs pretty much written down, and you kind of can go off of that ahead of time. Visit these properties, take into consideration, the size, the location, the actual price of the home, of course. And when you're ready and when you find that home that you just feel like, it's the one, that's when you want to make sure you submit an offer, have all your ducks in a row, and put that out there to the seller. You can negotiate this ahead of time as well, as far as negotiating the purchase price or the offer price. This is all something that you're going to be involved in with your real estate agent. And if you don't understand it, they'll be able to help you understand that. Step three is offer acceptance and escrow. Now, this here, once you're under contract, usually being under contract might take you about 30 days. There are some circumstances where it might take, longer than that. It might take you 6 weeks. Sometimes it could take you, longer than that. It's a case by case basis, but generally, home purchases are usually about 30 days. Like I said, 30 to 40 days. Once the offer is accepted, you are officially under contract. Then you want to, move forward to the steps of getting a home inspection done. This is something that, an expense that you will occur during the home buying process. You also are going to have to get the home appraised while it's under contract during this time period. That's something that can be a few $100s as well. In some cases, I've heard of lenders paying for it, but most of the time it's going to be a case of where that's an expense on the buyer's end, but it's facilitated by the lender. So they may have the professional come out and do it. You would just have to pay for the expense. And lastly, just, secure your financing if you have not already while you're under contract. So at that point, you're sending information over to the lender, letting them know that the offer got accepted, and then they can work their magic on the back end to make sure that, not only are your loan is secure and, safe and sound, but they want to make sure that you get it and you actually close on the house and not go through this process for any, no reason. The closing process, this also, all of this is within that, 30-day time frame of the property being under contract. Title search, the title company is going to make sure there aren't any disputes or any liens against the property. That just makes sure, you don't kind of get for lack of a better word, you don't get tricked into purchasing a home that, is going to have, bigger issues for you legally. So, that's, a job that title handles. The closing process involves you, reading and reviewing different closing disclosures. And this is, something that, your agent will help you and your lender can help you with some of the, understanding some of these documents as well. You want to make sure you do a final walkthrough after, any necessary repairs are done while it's under contract. And this is kind of usually done right before, that closing date happens, when you actually move in. When you get to the point of closing, the day that you get your keys, usually the day before or the day of, it can be documents that you still have to sign. In some states, they have a closing meeting. In Arizona, oftentimes these are documents that are signed electronically, and your keys will be given to you, usually by your agent. That's typically what they do. That's typically what I do. And, all the paperwork is recorded with the county. And the day that you get your keys, you pretty much, are the new owner of the home once the deed is transferred officially. That's pretty much the timeline when it comes down to buying. I mean, once you move in, obviously, you can coordinate the house. If you had any repairs that you planned on making on your own, you can begin that process. Any type of budgeting you can do for payments on the home. That's something that, I recommend that you do because, it's a responsibility. You have a house note and you want to make sure that is paid on time. You don't want to be behind on anything like that. So, generally, the home buying process from beginning to end, it can last, maybe 3 months or so, maybe 90 days. It could be longer than 90 days. Some people's circumstance change. So they might be looking at a house in the springtime and then they may realize that, they're better off moving in the fall. So, these things do happen. So it may take you a little bit longer to find the home that you're looking for. That's not the case for everybody, but these things do happen.